Hello and welcome to another video, and this one is my favourite and least favourite books of 2022 video. And if I jump straight in for my favourite books, the first one that I have is The Mask Falling by Samantha Shannon, and this book was absolutely fucking amazing. I gave it 5 stars on Goodreads. I don't even know how to describe how good this book was. But as a series, the first book I wasn't really too sure, and that was even the second time I read it as well. But as the series has progressed, the writing, the plot, and everything else has just improved drastically with every book. She is getting into her own with her writing, and this book had me enthralled all the way through up until the end, where it was just far too good to put down, and I loved it. I gave it 5 stars on Goodreads, as it rightly should. The next book that I read was How to Kill Your Family by Bella McKee, and this one was, I think, one of the books of the month in November or December in 2021, I believe. But I read it several months later, and to be honest, I was surprised by this. Even though the woman in here is like a bit of a bastard, you see her perspective and you're like, okay, I get you. But at the same time, it's like really interesting. Every time she does something, it's like the most intriguing thing ever. And there is plot twists in here towards the end, which are really cool. Which, I do highly recommend. And I did manage to encourage someone at work to buy this, one of the customers that comes in regularly, so I was pleased with that. So yeah, I gave this one 5 stars on Goodreads too. One of the best things I've read this year. Another one is The Lost Wheel by Hannah Gold, and this one has some themes of mental illness. It doesn't really talk about it in detail, but it is there, and how that can affect somebody's life, especially when they have a child. Honestly, it's one of the most beautiful books that I've ever read, and physically it is beautiful too. Like under the dust jacket, it is lovely. I gave this 4 or 5 stars on Goodreads as well, I believe. I'm not entirely sure whether I'm gonna look it up, but to be honest, like even for adults to read, this is lovely, and highly recommend. Another book is Nura and the Immortal Palace. This one made me really want a dessert called gulab something. And honestly, it sounds divine, and I still need to buy some in town, because I know there is a couple of places in the city centre that actually sells it. And one of the regular customers at work was born in the area, in one of the areas where this is set, and she says it's the best dessert in the world, and she highly recommends it, and I encourage children to read this very much so. It's weird, it's it's very mystical, and I enjoyed it. I did also have One Shot on my list, but I cannot find my copy anywhere. I have misplaced it, but 5 stars on Goodreads. It is the best lead child book I have read to date, quite honestly. It is the best paced and plot wise. It's really good. I can't really go into the detail without spoiling it, but it is excellent. Highly recommend that. And I have a little honourable mention here, and that is The 13.5 Lives of Captain Bluebear. This either got 3.5 or 4 stars on Goodreads for me, and like the only issue that I had with this is that it could have been 100 pages shorter. But honestly, it was one of the most bizarre things I've ever read in all my life. But to be honest, it was absolutely amazing, and I can't recommend this highly enough. And I am hoping to read the second one at some point in the new year when I get the chance to actually buy it. So I'm looking forward to getting to the second one of these at some point, like really soon, because I know I'll enjoy it and all of its weirdness. And I do not own any of the following books that I'm going to mention, and that is for like my least favourite books of 2022, because I tend not to keep books that I don't like. Yeah, pretty simple really. And the first one is The Hat Makers. I forget who that's even written by, but it had so much potential. If I'm honest, it had the potential for a lot of magic and mysticalness, and it didn't quite hit the mark for me in that regard. Because it does have magic elements in there, but it's not really enough for me to really think it's any good. So all, and I know that got 3 stars on this. All of them in this list, this part did. The Last Firefox didn't hit the mark for me either. I'm not entirely sure why, but it wasn't that great, to be honest. I think both The Hatmaker and The Last Firefox were children's books of the month at some point this year. And neither of these two really did it for me at all, if I'm honest. Another one that I didn't really like was A Little Life. Although it was fascinating enough that you would want to keep reading it, like once you get past that first 100 pages, at that point you kind of invested enough to know who's who and want to find out what's going on and what the problems are, but at the same time it's all a little bit too extreme in regards, like, as upsetting as everything is in the book, like if you go in knowing that there is a lot of nasty stuff, upsetting, and like things that would trigger a lot of people in regards to child abuse, paedophilia, etc. Like, you need to know that going in. And I believe even editors asked the author of that book that it didn't need to be quite so much of it in the book, and the author still insisted and would not change it for the life of her. And I think I agree with the editors on that process. It didn't need quite so much of the nasties to still make an impact, I guess. It's just one of those books that is all about sadness and despair, and I didn't really see the point in it. It's one of those pointless books that exists for no reason than just existing. And I probably gave this like 1 or 2 stars. If I'm honest, I can't remember because it was like shit. And the other is a book called Michelle Remembers. I didn't read this one too long ago, back in October, early November, and this one has been discredited by many people, because it's basically about a woman that grew up in a cult. A lot of very strange things happened. Some abuse happened, and most of it, when you're reading it, is completely and utterly unbelievable. You know it's a load of shit, but at the time, it was like in the 80s that this whole like cult thing that was going around at the time, like there was a lot of obsession from the public, like, and a lot of uproar at this, I think, in America, and I think a little bit over here, but not as badly. But to be honest, you can tell it's all a load of shit. I don't know how much of it was true at all, but the majority of it you can tell is rubbish. I don't have, and I think I gave that 1 star, to be honest. And I don't have any honourable mentions for that one because they're the only books for this year that, off the top of my head, that I'm like, they weren't my jam. And that's pretty much it for the video. And I feel like I should have put Bridget Jones' Diary in the favourites too, because I did enjoy that more than I thought. It was a surprise for me, but never mind. I also can't find that book either, but it is what it is. And I hope to see you soon in the next video, and thanks for watching.